Welcome to Sport Media and Tech. I am Keel Blake. This episode, Sam Ho makes her debut, former UCF alumni and current graduate student at the USF Vinnick School of Sport and Entertainment. She, Dr. Porter, and I spend time with Kris Dehnert, CEO of Dugout Mugs. We talk how to be an entrepreneur, performance marketing, and what it takes to bet on yourself. How are you doing, Kris?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. And, we like to start this podcast by typically asking our guests just how did you get your start? Tell us your story, your background, and how you landed where you are today.
It feels like I've lived about 3 or 4 different lives with, 5 or 6 different careers at this point. But where I started was, dropping out of college quickly, barely making it out of high school. I was interested in maybe going into massage therapy, and then I had a few vivid thoughts of like, maybe I'm going to be touching a bunch of people I don't want to be touching. And at that point I was like, I got to figure something else out. And I've always had a knack for sales and just communicating with people and really touching people. Right. I was an overweight kid, and I was like, well, I need to work out. I'm gonna go to a gym. Maybe I'll just clean machines. So I started cleaning machines at the gym down here in Florida. And and all these people, they would come tour the clubs and things like that, and they're walking around, and I would be the one selling them on the gym. I'm wiping machines, just selling them, because the salespeople, they sucked. They were just whoever come in and said they knew how to do sales. And quickly, the manager's like, you're selling more memberships while you're cleaning the machines than the guys selling the memberships. So I quickly moved up the ranks there, and then I got poached by who ended up being one of my first mentors, Dave Guernsey from Gold's Gym. He came over and he's like, hey, I heard they had a sales guy over here that's like killing it. So come on over. So I went over to Gold's Gym, and I think it was like 18 months in a row I was top sales. And by the time I was 23, I was general manager, managing 50, 60 employees. So I've always done things really differently and unapologetically as well. It didn't work too well in school, didn't work too well when I was trying to have a job. Dave, he was a University of Florida graduate aerospace engineer, and he's like, I hated it, man. I was in a basement and working on robots and shit. And he's like, I'd rather be over here, doing what I love. And like that was me. Right. And he always kind of inspired me to do that kind of stuff. And one of the guys I was working at the gym with, he's like, hey man, I heard about flipping houses. And this is in 2008. If you know what happened in 2008, you don't want to be anywhere around houses. Well, what I did is I pivoted. Mike and we decided to go into the short sale world. And in a matter of 90 days, I was a self-proclaimed real estate coach, where I left Gold's Gym after all those years I was there. And that was it, man. I was an entrepreneur at that point. I was, writing my own schedule. I was doing my own thing. The more I hustled, the more I made. And I started identifying, which has been a trend. And the reason I'm telling you this is it's been a trend throughout my last decade and some change. I saw real estate as an archaic, as most niches and verticals are. They're archaic in the way they do business and the way they market. And there's this new website out called Facebook at the time. And I thought to myself, it's like, well, there's people, the same people that are buying and selling a house in real life are over there in fake life, liking each other to death. It's like, well, maybe I can just leverage the functionality of this platform and do the same thing I'm doing in a one-to-many situation. So what I did is I created a system, and one of my favorite quotes, and I'll be dropping these hopefully all day: create a system you're not a component of, right? That is how you scale success, in my mind, one of the ways. And I put systems in place that had the people on Facebook going around their communities, finding deals, sending them to students who were paying me to coach them on what to do. These students would then use my entities, my mitigation firms, my transactional money and everything else to do the deals. And I'm making 200-300% more than I could if I was doing it myself and wasting all my time doing it. But it was a win-win situation, which is another thing that I believe wholeheartedly, is that just someone else doesn't have to lose for you to win. Right. And that's kind of what I created. And then and then social media became just the core of so much of what I do. Now, I don't like a lot of aspects of social media, but I understand the functionalities of it, and then how to leverage that for business and marketing in particular. And then that led me to, oh my God, I was running the biggest pages in the world for like Duck Dynasty and Tim Tebow and all these just different people, and doing very, very well selling just tchotchkes, t-shirts, things like that. And, one thing led to another, and a couple marketing firms, and I was doing it for, um, I'm not going to mention them, but like very notable people on TV and things like that. And I was running their social media for them. And then in 2015, right after my daughter was born, I had a very, very serious life-threatening incident that happened to me, and laying on a deathbed, like, hey buddy, sorry, kind of thing. And it changed the way I kind of looked at some stuff. So versus being so busy, I decided instead I was going to look for opportunities. And this, I had already had Dehnert Media open for a couple years, but I decided to change my view and go after people who, one, deserved a shot, and somebody that I can leverage, a deal that I could leverage my skill sets to improve. And there's a couple that came across my path, but then Dugout Mugs came across in late 2016. We cut a deal, launched it together in January 2017, and we've doubled on our way to 4 years in a row ever since. Because one of the things I promised myself is to be more singularly focused, because multitasking, as they say, is a way to screw up more than one thing at a time. So I got more singularly focused. Another thing I always tell myself every day and my staff, focus on your strengths, outsource your weaknesses, right? Like what's your power zone? And the more time you spend in your power zone every single day, the better off you and the entire entity will be. So that's a long, short story actually, but that's the last 12 years in about 3 minutes. So.
Kris, you have a cool, interesting story. So you already mentioned something about Dugout Mugs. So let's talk about the founding story for Dugout Mugs. How did it start, and where we at now?
So Dugout Mugs is a cool story, man. Randall Thompson he played baseball. My business partner played baseball in minor league, major. He was all the way up and played for the Blue Jays organization, and he just wasn't good enough to make it all the way. And he got cut. And if, as an athlete, I mean, you do something your whole life, it becomes part of your identity, and then it gets snapped away from you, and you're like, oh crap, what do I do now?
Yep.
And he went through some ups and some downs. I mean, at one point he lived in his sister's backyard in her like garage thing. He was dressing up for kids' parties on the side to make extra money. He was working at a paint store actually when I met him. But just before that, he had wanted to get back into the game in some capacity, and he went back to coaching at Florida Tech, which is his alma mater. And he's a strange cat the way he thinks, which is, it's a beautiful mind, right? And so he saw this guy cutting bats in half for a drill, and he's like, hey, what are you gonna do at the top of that bat? And it was the top half of the baseball bat, right? And Randall asked if he could have a couple of them. He took it home, drilled it out, and that was the first bat mug. And it was a cool idea, but an idea without a plan or marketing or honestly a team to scale something, it's always just going to be that. It's a hobby, it's an idea, it's a thing. That's about it. And Randall had done fairly well by himself, but that's just due to sheer drive. And he called me one day to pick my mind on some stuff, and I said, let's roll. And we were very far off in the very beginning. It was his first venture, right? And I had done half a dozen or more. And so we finally started having conversations, and we launched in 2017. And yeah, man, I think we grew 1,200% the first year, and we've doubled every year since. On track to probably do 8 million this year, selling wooden cups, which is kind of cool because we get to do beer and we get to do baseball. On Monday, I'm interviewing David Ortiz. Last week, it was Pete Rose. The week before that, it was Mariano Rivera, right? Like, it's really cool, the people I get to meet and the things I get to do and do business as well. So yeah, we're having a lot of fun. We're developing new products right now. So we finally have a pretty legit team, about 24, 25 people. So it's allowing us extra bandwidth to develop products. So we have things like, and I actually happen to have some because I'm working on a project, but bat handle shot glasses and bat handle bottle openers, wine mugs. We have a rocks glass that's being released later this month. It's really cool. It's a short version. We have an aluminum or a stainless steel version coming out. So it's been really cool. And that's kind of where we are now. It was an idea, kind of like a bottle rocket, right? It was an idea that we just kept throwing gas on. And once we got far beyond anybody else who's trying to do what we're doing, like light years ahead of them, now we're developing. We're taking our customer base, which is about 250,000 people, our customers and our contacts, and then we're using that to then develop other products, develop content strategies, develop a tribe, and then hopefully we're preparing for an exit. Is the truth of it. I mean, I believe all businesses are built to sell. I mean, that's the only point of it. So we're growing this thing up so that it's saleable. I want to see a 6-7 multiple, and in order to do something like that, you got to have a lot of the right things in place. So that's kind of what we're working on now.
Yeah, Kris, I think it's so neat because you took not only innovation digitally to help grow your business, but you took innovation in terms of technology from a creation and building perspective, right? With laser etching. And so you took something that, like a baseball bat, but combined it with modern day technology, both physically and digitally, for this really unique concept. Something that's been around for a while, but you had to have that mind and your partner, and you had to have that mind to bring it all together. That's really neat.
Well, I honestly, it came from some of the things I did previously. It was the apparel. The 3 or 4 years prior to that, we almost did, myself and my company and my students did about $20 million in sales of T-shirts online. And the T-shirts that were the most successful were the ones that were personalized. Like, it's a Johnson thing you won't understand, and you target everybody's last name's Johnson, right? So the personalization aspect of it was really where I thought the magic was. So when Randall showed me a blank mug, and this is a project that launches tomorrow, actually. So it was a blank mug. What I saw, this is something we're doing a big project with the Negro Museum, Baseball Museum 100th anniversary, but I saw it as a canvas, the same way I saw a T-shirt, the same way I saw an art piece, right? It's a blank canvas, and we had to get the right equipment to get it extremely detailed and personalized. And I would say probably 70% of what we sell is personalized with the person's name on the back, signatures, pictures of kids, pictures of people who have passed. So really that's where I saw this from the very beginning, was leveraging tech to make this product something that they just can't get anywhere else, right? And it was very personal to them.
Kris, you mentioned the importance of creating a system you're not a component of and leveraging social media. So I'm curious where you picked up your digital marketing skill set.
Digital marketing, to be honest with you, I think all digital marketing and social media is social media more than digital marketing. Social media, it's a digital one-dimensional version of you. So I think the problem is, and I think it's the problem across social media, everybody's pretending to be somebody they're not to impress people that don't matter, right? So what I've always done, I'm about as authentic as you can get. Like, this guy here is me, the same guy you run into at a game, the same guy that's on a stage speaking. It's what it is, right? So I've always gone at social media from a very transparent, authentic place. And I think people have resonated really well with that. I've watched a lot of guys like Gary Vaynerchuk or Jesse Itzler, guys like this that are authentic, right? And I think that's what's in the whole world. Authenticity, I think, is going to take you a long way. As far as my digital skill set, I think the skill set that's more important to that is identifying your weaknesses. And what I've done is I realized 2 things. One, the stuff I suck at, and the stuff I don't want to do. And then you quickly find the best people that can do the things that you don't do well or you don't like to do. Because what happens is you get out of your own way, right? And that's the magic. That was the magic for me. I don't want to learn the latest strategy for Facebook advertising. I want to know which agency focuses on the best strategy for Facebook advertising. And I want to do what I do best. So I think more than anything, it's really identifying who I am and what I do very, very well. And that's all I do every single day. And there's plenty of days that, you know what, you don't have shit to do. And that's okay. And that's perfectly okay. But instead of just that mindset of being busy for the sake of being busy, no. So and that's what I was saying. It's kind of a weird question for me because I don't have a digital skill set. I have a skill set of marketing and understanding people and getting really outside the box on how to get people's attention, because what are we just bombarded, right, every day with advertising? So what I tried to do is what's going to catch their attention, right? What's going and then I'll take care of that one little piece, and then I'll give it off to somebody else. So that's kind of answers your question, I think.
Yeah, Kris, you mentioned this earlier, talking about having a singular focus, and through what we've seen with Dugout Mugs, and even after visiting your site, after the introduction, I'll give a shout out to Todd Graisley, who we went to college together and connected the two of us. But after visiting the website, I've seen a lot of the really engaging sponsored stories or ads that your team is promoting on, whether it be on Instagram or Facebook. And, I'm curious, between SEO or advertorials or influencers or social performance marketing, where have you found success with Dugout Mugs? And again, I'm asking you this though, without you giving away your secret sauce.
I'm pretty transparent, and I don't mind giving away secret sauce because people can't catch us because we're not letting up. Right.
So I like that a lot. Yeah.
Well, I mean, when Randall and I were first talking, we had a decision to make. Are we going to focus on winning, or are we going to focus on not losing? And I'm always focused on winning, and then let everybody else try to keep up. There's plenty if they can make it. If they can make it where we're at, come on, there's plenty. But so I don't mind being more open about that. I think we've seen most of our revenue from Facebook advertising. But I think it's a little bit of a weird question because it's based on metrics, right? So what is your core metric? And if it's just, P&L, dollars in, dollars out, what's your ROAS, return on ad spend? Facebook, Instagram. We've recently done a lot of data. I'm a big data guy. I don't look like it, but I'm a big data guy in the fact that I trust it. It's non-biased. So we've pulled a lot of data. We've tracked a lot of data. I mean, I have, like I mentioned, 250,000 people on our contact list alone. We're constantly polling, we're constantly learning. So I think what we're finding is that whether it's OTT, over the top marketing on streaming services, then what I want to do is I want to dig super deep to find out which streaming services my specific people are on, and then I'll target there. So I think what we're doing is we might be getting larger returns, but smaller revenue in more verticals. But if it's just a blanket, like where have we made the most, what have we seen the most success, I'd say Facebook. As far as branding is concerned, I've never really seen much return on influencer marketing. I think that's a hokey industry in general. And it was a flash in the pan. There's still some of it but I think people are getting smarter than that. The influencer marketing that I do, I mean, we have hundreds of photos and videos of us and celebrities with our stuff. I don't count on that for any money. That right there is credibility to convert the person that's on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. So my metrics for influencer marketing is more about just brand, right? Versus advertising.
It's like content creation, right? It's great. Yeah. You can't get better content than having the pro athlete with their personalized mug or that team, et cetera. Yeah.
Right. But I've had athletes. I've had Bert Kreischer. He did a post, he was posting about our stuff the other day. David Ortiz has posted about our stuff. He's got millions of followers. It doesn't even move the needle, right? It doesn't even move the needle. And there's been plenty of conversations where you reach out to some of these folks and they're like, oh yeah, it's $10,000 or $15,000 for a tweet. It's like, and I get that. And if they can get that, God bless them, right? But it's for us, I was like, it doesn't make any sense at all. I'll spend $50,000 or more, which I have, on a laser targeted customer list, like the New York Yankees. I think it's a Yankees hat. Yeah. The Yankees, one of our best customers, did an email drop to their 900,000 buyers of their tickets. Well, that's more of interest to me. I'll spend a lot of money on something like that.
Yeah. I think strategic partnerships make a lot of sense there, right? Because you're getting directly to the core of your audience, right? People that are most passionate about the brands.
Marketing, strategic partnerships. I think things like that make sense. Now, we have had some influencers that have entered into our work with us. Mariana Rivera is a great example, if you're familiar. one of the best closer of all time. He's an affiliate of our company where he posts on social media, raises money, and then the commission he makes, he gives to a charity, right? So guys that work with us on that capacity, I'm more interested in because they have a vested interest to like get out there and push it, right? Versus just a, hey, look what I'm drinking from today. So.
Right. Kris, I love our candid conversation. I love your authentic conversation. So now I want to transition a little bit into what are some of your biggest failures, right? You've done a lot. You have a lot of influence. You've done a tremendous amount of business, tremendous amount of business success, excuse me. What are your biggest failures? What did you learn from that to help you get to where you are now?
The one right on the top of my head, I had a restaurant with a couple of guys in Tampa. It was called The Hideout. It was a great restaurant. I mean, the food was legit. I always had like the lightning and everybody were in there all the time. I lost six figures in that. And what I learned, I mean, the easiest thing to learn from that is don't put your money into shit you don't understand because you can't manage it. You can't measure it. You can't anything. Right? Like I started investing. I was invested in cannabis. I was invested in a restaurant. I was invested in all these different things that I can't impact. Right? And I'm a talented guy in certain silos. And if I can't leverage that to make the deal better, oftentimes it's not going to work, at least for me. That's what I learned. And that, so now my investing strategies are into deals that I know, that my stock portfolio specifically, is a vision of where I see our world going, right? Whereas before I was throwing money at anything that moved, but now I own Apple, Tesla, Etsy, Pinterest, right? Like I see these kinds of things, and that's where I want to be. So from an investing standpoint, that was one of my biggest, those two both lost me six figures, the cannabis and the restaurant. I learned about always have plan for the worst, hope for the best.
Great quote.
Certainly
Great quote, yeah.
learned from a contractual standpoint. People are good people, but when they get pinched, they get weird, and things can go wrong, and money can go sideways, and I get it, and I mean I don't even fault them. Right. But if your contracts are tighter and your deals are tighter, then you have a lot more control. And I think that's really important. Not control to take advantage of, but it's control to protect you because, water, it's going to go down the path of least resistance. Well, be the path of most resistance when it comes to your contracts and your deals. So they come to you like, no, let's find a different way. That's going to be too hard to go through. So I learned that. I think I lost, probably $500,000. That's not easy to stomach, right? But just because a couple deals went sideways and the contracts weren't tight. So I certainly learned that as well. And then time. I think the one thing that it's all taught me, because I've had a lot of different ventures along the way. And honestly, I think what it taught me the most is that you can't get the time back. So constantly chasing everything, anything, just because you're dying for success, like you can't wait to make money and buy that car or go on that vacation or whatever the case may be. And you think, oh, I'm not really spending a lot of money, but you're wasting hours and hours and days and weeks and months. And there's other people, wives and children, and sitting there watching this, like they don't get you because you're diving down all these empty holes. Like that's one of the things I learned a lot. And I think that's what really came to fruition when I got really sick and my daughter was just 6 months old. So I think that's really kind of one of the biggest transitions for me was don't waste time. And a buddy of mine, Jason, says it the best. He's like, the gist of it is it's not about, your no's, when your no's become more important than your yeses. Right. And hey, do you want to do this? No, no, I don't want to do that. What about this? It can make 5X. It's like, what about this? What about my time? What do I have to give up? What do I have to sacrifice? How much time, effort, energy? And then I'm like, no. And then you see one, you're like, yeah, I can do that. And here we are, 4 years in with a $20-30 million company, you know, when it's all said and done. So I think there's a lot to be said about that. And that goes back to the focus, right? The time and the focus, those things walk hand in hand.
So Kris, I mentioned to you before recording that I'm based out of Tampa. So obviously we're all really excited here. The Lightning just won the Stanley Cup. And I noticed a lot of the things that came after the Stanley Cup came very quickly. And I want to know how that translates to the MLB and kind of what you plan out proactively and reactively postseason and preseason.
Well, it's been a little bit of a struggle for us because of our growth. The worst thing you can do is keep the wrong person too long in your company, right? So you have to be better at hiring and ask better questions, right? Across the board in business, ask better questions, right? So I'm asking better questions to get better people so that we put the right person in place, because you need to build where you're going, not build to where you are. So if we weren't constantly in this building to where we're going stage, because we're going at, you know, feels like a 90-degree angle sometimes, straight up, you know, it's been harder to proactively plan. But I did recently hire a CMO, Nate. He's been on with us for, I think, maybe 3 months. He's killing it, doing a really, really good job. And his job solely is, you have these 5 components in the business, and it is email marketing, text marketing, Facebook and Instagram marketing, Etsy marketing, all the stuff, right? So he has a calendar that we have movable pieces and things on his calendar, and depending on what's happening in the industry, we can move things around. We have a really cool sugar skull design, for example, that's getting released today. And we had another campaign that was going out today, but we simply shifted this up, move that in, move this to next Friday. So I think having that template has been really, really helpful for us. We like to stay about 90 days out. I want to know what campaigns we're running with detail for the next probably 4 weeks, but I want to have 9 weeks worth of optics, right? I want to be able to see kind of what that looks like quarterly, or roughly quarterly. So that's that. And then as far as like specifics, like we've already gotten designs mocked up for all the remaining teams for World Series. You got to have that stuff, because licensing's no joke. I mean, when you get into licensing, these are hundreds of thousands of dollars of commitments, and whether you sell it or not, you still owe them, which is fun. So we try to be really, really proactive in that regard, so that the day, and not only the day of, last year's a perfect example. There was the Washington Nationals and the Astros were in the World Series, and both clubhouses already had a box of World Series champion Dugout Mugs in the clubhouse. So at the chance they would win, they got it. And obviously the Nationals won. And if you look at any of the things that, you know, all the Nationals are on their buses doing their parade all through the Capitol with mugs in their hand. They're on stage drinking out of mugs. So you have to be proactive if you want to capture those opportunities.
Yeah, Kris, that's a really good point. You know, I love the wheel that you have behind you. And, you know, an example there, it's like you're not just going and spinning the wheel and saying, which team are we going to advertise to today? It's based on the ups and downs in their season, on, you know, when fans are going to be really excited, right?
Very, very much so. Yeah. Marketing has a lot to do with emotion. And people typically buy, but, you know, fear or pleasure, I found. So pick your path. Somebody's always going through some kind of fear or pleasure. But yeah, usually the latter is the better. The pleasure, their team's winning, you're winning, you buy this. And they're like, okay, you know, they can't wait to throw money at you. So yeah, you got to definitely plan that out.
So you know, there's the merchandise and licensing side of your business that we've talked about. And, you know, I know you partner with the MLB and there's some other things that you do too, but how do you identify the best customers? Because you have a retail side too. And, you know, who are your best customers, and when are the best seasons for those customers from a retail and then a licensing perspective?
I just like any business. Well, I shouldn't say any business. That's not fair. There's a lot of ebbs and flows based on with the baseball industry. Obviously Mother's Day and Father's Day are tremendous for us because these are highly gifted, like the best gift you could ever give somebody under $50. That's if they like baseball. If not, it kind of sucks. But if they're a baseball fan of any kind, it's really good. So Mother's Day and Father's Day is big. Opening day, everybody's really pumped. Right now in playoffs, there's some excitement. Most teams are sad because they're out. But then Christmas, we probably do 50% of our sales in about a 10-week period in Q4 for the whole year. So again, there's gonna the ebbs and flows of business. So the trick is fixing the seasonality, and that's where these other distribution channels come in. So like wholesale, you have to plan for what they're planning for, is the best way to, I guess, explain it. So I know that if people are excited for me for opening day, well, they're excited for all the stadiums, and all our mugs are sold in all the stadiums, all the pro stadiums. A lot of the minor league stadiums are on the hall. We're in the Hall of Fame, whatever. So January, February are really good months for us from a wholesale perspective, because the stadiums and the big box stores and everybody's loading up on stuff. So we fix that seasonality. And then what we do, because, and again, it goes all the way back to people, right? Without people, you don't have a business. You have a job, and it sucks because you're usually doing everything. So the better people you get, so we don't want to lose people, right? When we're ebbing and flowing. So what we've done, even this past 3 months, after Mother's Day, Father's Day, we started pre-running everything for Christmas so that we have tens of thousands of things ready and in stock, ready to go. So again, from a seasonality perspective on production, we're not seeing good people coming and going, right?
Yeah.
Sales, it's more about identifying corporate gifting. A lot of people, people graduating from college, graduating from high school. Jeff, I think you mentioned gifting, right? So that is huge. These are great for season ticket holder gifts. Now that's hitting just after the season starts. So there's that seasonality. Alumni gifting. We host the governor, or we're the official gift of the governor of Florida. Ron DeSantis does our gifts at all the tables for the governor's dinner, because he's a baseball guy. So again, we're learning that, right? The wedding industry. So it's just trying to find the pieces to fill the holes, so it's not so, up and down along the year.
Yeah, well, I could tell you, and I'm curious, so one of my best friends, we all grew up in Michigan. That's where Dr. Porter, I also have the connection there too, but he's a big Tigers fan. So am I. So you have one sale coming in for him for a gift this holiday season for sure. Because his wedding gift for me was literally a hand burned, like a little wooden box that I created with the Detroit Tigers D on it. So I think some matching mugs would be awesome for that, for his basement there.
I'll tell you what, I don't do a lot of pitching, but I can tell you this: the best deal that we run all year is called the playoff bundle.
Okay.
You get a mug, a wine mug, a shot glass, and a bottle opener for $100.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and it's all official MLB stuff. Not a bad move. We turn it off when we get a little closer to Christmas, but that. You got 4 gifts for 4 people.
So you're telling me to hurry, Kris. That was great marketing. You're like, Keel, hurry up. You're gonna run out if you don't wait for the holidays. Order now. I love it.
We wait till November, because every year now we sell out every single year, and we're planning for 2 and 3x growth, and we still sell out, which is crazy. It's humbling. Is really what it is. I don't lie. I'm transparent. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Hurry, or they might not be there.
Yeah, no. And in the world of personalization, supply and demand. I mean, it's not like you have to have inventory in order to sell. You can't just make those laser etchings overnight. So yeah, that's a big job to
we have a bay of 10 lasers and 3 laser techs, and some of the stuff they're doing is really amazing. We have a couple new products coming out. So again, with schematics, and just our new operations manager, he's into 3D printing. So instead of us buying parts for these lasers, $50, $60, $80, he measures it and does all the, he makes CAD drawings and stuff. And then boom, and he hits it on his laser printer and knocks out 4 of them over the weekend, saves us like $300, and they're really cool, ready on Monday or Tuesday. So we leverage a lot of tech, a lot of data. And then, it's just some good old woodworking in there, of course, but I think what makes these products so cool. And if you haven't held one, they're really neat, man. But it's just the detail from the lasers and all the just craftsmanship that goes into it. Yeah.
Hey, Kyo, fun fact, when we're talking about personalization and partnership, one thing that came to mind, since you're a Detroit Tigers fan, the Detroit Tigers and the University of Michigan actually had a partnership when Coach Harbaugh showed up to the stadium, where they had the D that was painted in the color of maize and had a block M on the other side. So maybe we can talk about a partnership with Dugout. So I'm just going to put that out there.
Michigan, we need some Michigan mugs going.
We get some Michigan Mugs going. Actually, give me a good idea of something else. So, one thing I want to bring up, we talk about the ebbs and flows. We talk about where your business was, how it created, kind of where you guys are now. So fantastic. Now we want to hammer into what does the future look like, right? You built up a really successful business. It's worth, at this point, what, 25, 30 million, as you said. Now, from this point forward,
not yet, but yeah,
it's all said and done, right? We'll get there. But now, looking forward, what does it look like for you?
For Dugout Mugs, I think we're going to probably keep pressing. We're in 5 countries now, so we're internationally distributed. So Dugout International, I guess. We're going to dig into that a little bit more. There's a lot of people. I mean, we built a heck of a brand, and I think that was really important because then people don't want to try to be us. You can't beat them, join them, right? That mentality. So now we're going to get different distribution. So I think international distribution makes sense. Logistically, we need to figure some things out. I think continuing to deep dive on data, understanding who our core audience is, and keep doing what we're doing, keep developing products so that, it was crazy. I was talking with a guy yesterday. He's ordered 6 times from us, 6. And that's not uncommon. So we're creating products that our people just want more and more and more. They're collecting them. They've replaced all the cups in their cupboard. Like, it's crazy. So I think that comes from building a brand, like a Yeti or North Face, things like that. Like, we're a lifestyle brand. And I think that also comes from the transparency. So we're going to continue to get better at bringing real content to our audience because it matters to them. We're going to continue to get better at developing products. We're going to continue to streamline our manufacturing processes. As it is right now, if you ordered a personalized mug right now, we should ship it out within 48 hours. That's pretty common. So again, we're really dialing that in so that we just launched Amazon. We've done all this without Amazon to this point as well. So very eager to see what Amazon yields. And then hopefully we can get our EBITDA somewhere around, 5-6 million, and then get a 6 to 7 multiple. And at that point, obviously money's not a problem. I'm pretty low key. But professionally, I think I would go a little crazy if I didn't do something. I have 2 beautiful little daughters. And I'm married. My wife, we've been together 15 years, married for 7 and change. So I think I don't want to, again, it goes back to time. I don't want to do anything that's going to take time away unless there's relevance to it. So there's a whole concept of profit versus you moving from profit to purpose, right? And I think at that point, I'm going to look for more purposeful deals that still yield a return. Typically, I do a retainer of $5,000 a month to consult startups, but it's got to be a project, I believe, right? So what I'll do is I'll do the retainer, and I'd only do 3 months, only 90-day contracts I'll do, because then I know that's finite. But if it's a project that I believe in and I believe in the person running it, then it could potentially be another deal that I could be I call it fractional CEO, fractional CMO. I step in where I step in, when I'm supposed to step in, and then that's all you need from me, right? So I think that's kind of what the forecast of my professional career looks like. It'd be getting into more purposeful deals, similar to what I did with this. I'm already on that path, right? When I ran into Randall, it was very much that. It just so happened that was my first venture like that, with that, not like that, but with that mentality. Right. So I really enjoyed it. And I think I'm continuing that path a little bit. try to do some more purposeful things. And I love seeing people that have an idea and can almost make it, or maybe on their way to making it, and then just rocket fuel, right, and be done with it. I really enjoy that. Some great advice one time, and I'll end with this. Books are like friends, right? If you had a friend, I'm in a mastermind group called Board of Advisors. I'm actually one of the very first members of Board of Advisors. And it's CEOs from all over the world get together and mastermind just for a week at a time, every quarter. And somebody there was telling me, and they said, imagine if you had the Dalai Lama and Ben Adams and Lincoln and like all these just Martin Luther King, just legendary thinkers. And every time you had a problem, you could just go in there. Some will understand certain things, some will understand other things, and you could just ask them their advice, right? And they would give it to you, and you're like, makes sense, I'm gonna do that. Look at books that way. So if you have a collection of books that talk about traction, scale, exit, outsource, delegation, whatever, when you're dealing with that problem, go to that friend and get the answer for that problem. You don't have to be this start a book, end a book, and try to take it all. There's only nuggets in there. So go get what you need and leave. That was an interesting concept that I found to be helpful. Not time consuming, because time, that's my thing. I want more of it.
We agree, Kris, and that's why we want to say a big thank you from our team to all of our guests these past 2 seasons. That's a wrap for Season 2. Join us next episode for the start of Season 3, where we talk sports safety and science with Dr. Rob Rehberg, CEO and founder of Sports Safety International, and Dr. Phil Wagner, CEO and founder of Sparta Science.